All right. Thanks everyone for coming to office hours today. I'm Annalisa Johnson. I'm one of the account managers at Stitchcraft Marketing. So just a recap of what this is. Every month we have just a short presentation on a topic that we think you need to know about or something that has come up that is important. And again, we're a full service marketing agency, so if you need something, we can probably help. I'm joined by my colleagues on the side. We've got Biana, Flossie, Rebecca, and owner Leanne. Hi. And then we have someone joining us today. Thank you for popping by. We are recording this session, so if you can't catch it live today, then it will be uploaded later on our YouTube channel. So how we normally have this formatted is that we have, like I said, the short presentation, and then we take questions at the end. So today our topic is our top 9 budgeting tips for attending trade shows. So whether you are a newbie or if this is your 50th trade show, we've got some tips for you. Okay, so again, this is a presentation about our 9 top budgeting tips for attending a trade show. So this is based on an article that we wrote for our blog that you can find a link to there. And then our next post is, or the thing about thinking about a trade show is it's not just one thing, right? So you've got booth costs, travel costs, promotion costs, extra costs. There's always something that's going to pop up. So things take you by surprise, and you really don't want to be in a position where you're depending on your business and you're working for, your calendar, your budget for the next 6 months for or to a year, and have a unexpected cost that is going to eat into your profits. So we put together our 9 best tips, our do's and don'ts to help you plan and make the most of your budget. So there's some unavoidable expenses with having a trade show. Um, you have to pay for the floor covering or the drapes. You have to pay for the carpeting. You have to pay for the offloading, onloading. You have to pay for parking. You have to do all these different things that are part of having a booth cost. What we recommend is, if you can, depending on the trade show, don't pay for the floor covering and drapes. There's ways to get around this. They try and sort of promote it to you as we're providing you the service, but a lot of times those floor coverings are dirty. They're not a great color. Those drapes are really bad fabric, and again, may not go with what you want your booth to look like. If you also have to pin anything to them, they rip really easily, and you don't want to have, to pay for those drapes 2 times over. So try and make yours on your own, and bring them with you. It's write off. You might have to pay for shipping, but it's easier and you have more control, and you also know what you're going to get. Um, Something that we say you should pay for is the Wi-Fi or the electricity for the booth. You have very little control over your booth location. So you may be in a dark spot, you may be next to a pillar, and it's no good if people can't see your product. The other thing that with Wi-Fi, some convention centers do what they call throttling, and so if you rely on Wi-Fi to run cards, which a lot of us do, they may have sort of a dampener in place so that you can't run a card while the trade show is going. And people have different opinions and different comfort levels with giving you your card information, having you store it and run it at a later date. So go ahead and just pay the fee to make sure that you have Wi-Fi. Another thing for attending trade shows is that you have travel costs. So if you're lucky enough to have a trade show close to you, you're still going to have to travel at least a little bit to get there. Whether you have to fly there, and there's those travel costs. If you're going to drive, you have those travel costs. But there's certain things that you really should focus on, because if you have to travel there by any way, you need to protect your products, right? So if you're going there by car, don't park or leave your products, booth, whatever, panel van in an unattended or unlocked lot. I do remember a couple years ago there was a massive break-ins at Quilt Market, and several people lost basically all of their products on other booths. So it may be tempting to save a few bucks because trade shows are expensive. It's the nature of the beast. But don't leave it in an unlocked lot. Those big trailers and panel vans are just prime targets for opportunistic individuals. Um, the other thing is a lot of people want to trade or save money on being able to have a cheaper lodging. It was like, okay, I don't need something fancy. I just need a place to sleep, right? Until it's the day of the show, you forgot something in your hotel room. You can get someone to watch your booth for half an hour while you go run back and get it. But you need to drive 5 miles away, 10 miles away. You're actually out of town an hour. And suddenly going and getting that thing that you really need for your booth to make it just sing or make people remember you, or I need this stack of product that I just left behind because I was busy, that gets a lot more difficult when you're not close to the convention center. So it is annoying to look at those costs and be like, oh, I could really save more if I went to an Airbnb just outside of town. The convenience factor for when you're just camping out and you're in your booth for those days, you try to get someplace close. Um, I will say that a lot of the times convention centers or different locations, they will have special hotel rates. So make sure you ask for the hotel rate for whatever convention trade show you are going to, because you can save some money that way, which is not going to happen with an Airbnb. The next place that is some place to watch your costs, and this is one of the things that I am the guiltiest when I go to trade shows. I'm just like, ah, let's just make it happen. I'm tired. I'm at the trade show. So these are all the promotional expenses. Like I want us to be memorable. We need to be memorable. There's a lot of people, all the people I'm talking to are seeing a lot of different vendors. I want to make sure that they remember me. They remember us. So promotional expenses are also fun because you can have a little bit of swag to it. You can make it just goofy and fun, and also they get really expensive really fast. So I am queen of the last minute for traveling anywhere. The problem with that is if you are like me, if you wait to do handouts at the convention center just because it's one more thing, I don't want to handle shipping, I'll just handle it when I get there. um, the the promotional the cost for printing those things at a FedEx center or UPS or whatever, the copy center in the convention center or even close to the convention center, they're astronomical. Do your best to get those things printed ahead of time and either at the hotel for you already or you bring them with you. Because here's my example from Quilt Market. I had to do 3 color prints, as in like 3 single pieces of paper that should have cost me less than $2, and it cost me $8 at Quilt Market in the fall. So that the difference between $2 and $8 is like, okay, that's only a little bit, but that was for 3 sheets of paper. So if you have a stack of handouts that you need to do, imagine having to have 200 sheets of paper and have that price difference. It's like it really adds up quickly, and it makes you regret some choices. Place that you really do want to spend money, have a show special that will attract customers. Now, I talked earlier about saying that you have some swag or something that makes you memorable. You don't have to be that involved. It's like, don't worry about all the bells and whistles. It's like, okay, stickers are great. I love stickers. Magnets are great. Something, a little sample spool or a sample mini skein or whatever. Those are cool. And I love getting those. But you know what? Your customers that are buying from you, they are happy with something as simple as free shipping for when you order at the show. It's like you don't have to have extra things to bring with you. You don't have to have extra printing costs. Think about your customer service that you already do, that you already have, that you're already known for, and incorporate that into some sort of special with the show. Some additional ideas for budgeting. Um, Trade shows are huge expenses, and even if you watch all of your pennies and dollars for everything that you do, it adds up. So you're already on the road. Why don't you make the most of all of that time and effort to get all of your product together, to get all of your samples together, to get you together and out the door, and book events on either end of the show? So you could have trunk shows and offload if you're at a show and then you meet one of your good customers, have them take some product with you, have them take your samples, and then you have a trunk show. You don't have to pay for shipping back. They'll ship it back to you. You get additional sales. How about a teaching event on the back end? I know some people that, especially when they're traveling long ways, if you've got, when the Australians come to vend in America, they make sure that they budget for the show, but they offset those costs by making sure that they teach and have trunk shows and travel and do other things for a couple of weeks on either end. They're also dealing with the time difference, but that is another way to offset the cost. Is if you're already in a location, contact the people that are also in that area. If we're going to Houston, let's see, okay, what are places that are close? Dallas is close. Okay, who can I go talk to in Dallas that wants to see my stuff and see me and all of those things. Um, the another thing is speaking events. It doesn't have to be as involved as a teaching gig. A trunk show is pretty low effort for just handing off your stuff. You can also speak about think of it as the Cliff Notes version of your teaching gig. There's higher levels and lower levels of effort, which is also important to gauge where your effort is after a long trade show where you've got 12, 14, 16-hour days. So keep that in mind too. Maybe have a little bit more high energy stuff at the before the show, and then maybe low energy things like trunk shows after the show. The other thing for attending a trade show is offer your products or new products samples and distributor booths. So you may have like I said before, you don't have a lot of control over your booth location. So if you have a bad location for your booth, your distributors probably aren't. They're going to have a big booth, three spaces, 6 spaces, 9 spaces. Make sure that you contact them or you're on whatever list that they have, that they contact you so you can get your new product in their booth, and they're going to have lots of eyes and lots of foot traffic. Another idea is, how about the buddy system? So what I mean by the buddy system is that you have one booth and you have a limited number of space. You have people that are coming to see you. What if you went into got 2 booths and you went in with 2 friends? So you have 3 of you in 2 spaces. So you have business, because we all have friends in the business, right? So what if you took 2 of your friends that have similar businesses and you all shared the space? You get to share each other's foot traffic, you get to share the costs. So you have a bigger space to spread out and more foot traffic, more eyeballs on you, which is the name of the game, right? For a trade show. And you can make it an event. So make it so that you share each other's newsletter group, you share each other's foot traffic. You can make it a fun thing and not advertise the part that it's a cost saving measure, because when you spread out those costs, it makes it a little bit easier for everyone. Remember, the trade show is not just about the sales that you get at the show. Excuse me. The trade show is about the sales and the relationships and the connections that you're going to have for farther than those 3-4 days. It's going to help determine your opportunities for the next 6 months or the next trade show. It's going to get you in front of people, and people will remember you for this show. So if you have a trade show that is, you're like, oh, I really didn't offset my costs over these 3 days. It was just not a great show. A lot of people weren't buying. If it is business to business, even if it is business to consumer, people are going to remember you with those show specials. They're going to remember you with your presentation. They're going to remember you with your customer service, and they're going to come back to you for those reasons. So even if it's not a budget-friendly maneuver on the day, give it a week, give it a month. It'll pay dividends later. So, and if you want to attend a trade show and you need help strategizing, if you need help with your social media, we are marketing and crafting experts at Stitchcraft Marketing. So we can customize a program to help you showcase your brand, engage with your customers, and make sure that you generate sales in a way that is nothing less than magical. If you need help preparing your crafty business for a trade show, let us know. And I'm going to open it up for questions. Do we have anything?
I have one question that maybe you can answer.
Sure, what's up?
What do you recommend for setting a budget before you go to the show? I think a lot of clients don't anticipate what some of these extra expenses are going to be. Do you have any guidelines for people on how they make sure that they can stay within a designated budget that works for their business?
That's a good question. Well, so what I generally do and my frame of reference is that, is this a cost? I ask myself, I take the trade show aspect out of it. is this a cost that I would normally incur? Or is this a cost that is a reasonable expense for what I'm going to get? So,
Right.
yes, the trade show is an event and is a special thing, but am I paying too much for this or is it worth it in the long run? If it still serves my business in some way, like, okay, some of the swag stuff, maybe make sure that the swag is not show specific. So, don't put a date on it, don't put your booth number on it, don't put it so that it is welcome to Atlanta. Like, do not make it that specific. So then I'm still comfortable paying for t-shirts that I can hand out later. I'm still comfortable paying for project bags that are specific to me, but not specific to an event.
Mhm.
If you think of your costs that way, that they are business expenses, then if you are comfortable having that cost and you can use it in other places, I think that's a good frame of reference. Having a hard and fast number, I think that's a difficult thing to work with unless you know everything ahead of time, but I've found that there's a lot of unknowns, at least the first time you're going to an event. So I
Mhm.
try not to have fast numbers. I just try and keep it so that I am comfortable with what I'm spending. So that also means that, you know what, I'm not going to buy the fancy dinner. I'm not going to go out to dinner. I'm going to order takeout pizza because that's cheaper for me than the whatever $200 restaurant next to the convention center. So,
Mhm.
but that's something that I am more comfortable with. I am comfortable having takeout. So if you are not comfortable with that, if you are more comfortable with spending your money to make sure that you can take care of your body and again restore it after that event, then that's something to look at.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think that's great feedback. Some of the other things that I'm thinking about as you're saying that is, we go to the same trade shows every single year. So if maybe you don't have a budget for the first year trade show, make sure you're doing a really good job tracking your expenses as you go to that next trade show. Because you can say, on average, when I go to H&H Americas, the hotels are $300 a night. I'm going to do 3 dinners. I'm going to buy a new outfit. I'm going to, whatever it is, right? So that you can then keep track of that. And then the other thing that I would recommend that I don't think a lot of clients do is to try to measure your ROI from that. So if you go to a trade show in June and then you're getting a lot of fabric orders or sales orders in July and August, then, and they all say, hey, I loved seeing your collection at Quilt Market, you can pretty much attribute those sales to that show because you want to get to a point where you can actually calculate what the ROI is on those shows. Because of course, if you're going to a show and you're spending all this money and then you're not getting any sales, that's a show you need to reconsider for the following year.
Yes. Also, there's weird things that think about what worked well and what didn't work last time. So
Mm-hmm.
my weird example for this, my very specific example is how I do invoices. So the first trade show I did, I thought I needed to have printed line items for every product I carried so that would make it
Mm-hmm.
very easy
Right.
to fill stuff out. But you know what? As soon as I got new stuff, I had to fill in those invoices again. So
Mm-hmm.
having a blank invoice, even though it is slightly more work, it also makes the print, I can have a bigger print run of those and have those hanging out in my storeroom as opposed to, okay, well now these invoices are useless. So
Mm-hmm.
look at what you did last time that made more work for you or was just didn't again, that longevity. If it only works for that one event, it's probably not a good thing to have.
Right. Great advice. Always something to learn every time you go to a trade show. I feel like every time I get home, this doesn't have anything to do with budgeting, but every time I'm on the plane on the ride home, I always pull out my notes and write notes about what I did wrong or what I could have done better for the trade show. And then I just kind of keep that in my filing cabinet, in my notes on my phone. And it might be really stupid things like, oh my gosh, this last trade show, I walked 33,000 steps. Make sure you bring a pair of flats, and as soon as you leave the trade show, when you're walking back to the hotel room, put your flats on. It might be really silly stuff like that, but just kind of keeping some tips of what worked and what didn't work can just make your trade show life so much easier.
Yep. And any
So
sort
I
of
see we have a, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say another tip that's not a budgeting tip. Anytime you get an invoice that you can write on, and someone gives you your business card and like you staple it to it, write like the person's first name that you talk to. Like because just
Right.
because they're handing the business card to you, like of their business, doesn't mean that's the person that you're talking to. So
Yeah, that's true.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I see we do have a couple of folks on the call today. We can stop recording if you're more comfortable asking generic questions of our whole team. That's what office hours are here for. You
Yeah.
can ask a question regarding the topic, or if you have any other generalized questions just about marketing, this is the time to get some free advice from us. Turn off the recording and we'll
And I'm looking at it right
go
here.
from there.